Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start our Sunday class, the Gita class, with some mantras, where we pray to God. We thank Him for this wonderful scripture through which we can really have a proper guidance to live this life properly. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasen Grathitam Puran Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritvarshine Bhagavati Mashtadashadhyayane Am Tvam Anusandhame Bhagavad Gite Bhagavadveshine Namo Astu Te Vyas Vishal Buddhe Full Arvind Ayat Patra Netha Yen Tavya Bharat Tail Purnaha Prajvalito Gyan Maya Pradeepaha प्रपान पारी जाताये तोत्र वेत्र एक पानये ज्ञान मुद्राये कृष्णाये गीता अमृत दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूर मर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्ये ग्राहवती कृपेन वाहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सो तीर्णा खलु पांडवै रन नदी के वर्तका केशवा पाराशर्ये वत्सरोज अम्लम गीता अर्थगंधोटकम नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदय रह पे पिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघ्यते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यं ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यस्तवे वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामका ध्यानवस्थितद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. Let's open our books on the chapter 18, Moksha Sanyas Yog, and verse number 20. So this is the part where we come across again the threefold divisions in the various aspects of our personal inner life. So this is for our help. We should see where do we belong. They are meant to help us to size ourselves up from time to time, not to judge others. Remember that. So in verse number 20, he's talking about what a sattvic gyan is. Then we'll know what rajasic gyan, then tamasic gyan. Let's look at in Lord Krishna's words, sattvic gyan. Gyan means knowledge. So sattvic knowledge, the purest knowledge. Sarva bhuteshu yen ekam bhavam avyam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tat jnanam vidhi sattvikam. Sarva bhuteshu, in all beings, yen, by which, ekam, one, bhavam, reality, avyam, indestructible, ikshate, sees, like a one sees, avibhaktam, undivided, vibhakteshu, in the divided, tat means that, jnanam, knowledge, vidhi, no, sattvikam, pure. So that by which one sees the one indestructible reality in all beings, undivided, in the divided. Know that knowledge as sattvic or pure. So in other words, the knowledge which can recognize and live constantly the truth is sattvic. To recognize the flux of things, to feel the harmony underlying the unity in diversity of forms and behaviors, That means you have awareness of the one life that pulsates in every heart. That is the genuine achievement of a sattvic intellect. So sattvic intellect unites us, because in essence we are all same. So again, remember, not for the purpose of judging and classifying others, but for us to understand ourselves. We need to develop ourselves. We have to try to maintain in ourselves as far as possible in the sattvic temperament. And by self-analysis, we can diagnose ourselves and immediately remedy the defects in us. So whenever we start seeing us superior or inferior than others, use the knowledge, sattvic knowledge. So in this verse, Lord Krishna has described sattvic knowledge is the type of a knowledge by which one imperishable being is seen in all existence. Okay, that knowledge, we can always say that the knowledge which takes us towards that kind of understanding is a sattvic knowledge. Because forms are different. When we just concentrate only on the forms, sure, we are divided. But all this knowledge should take us towards the essence. So the sattvic knowledge recognizes all of us as one. We are part of the same truth. So undivided in the divided. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu. It's almost like there could be 100 different parts of different shapes and colors, different sizes. But all the parts are made out of clay. The potter will see only the clay. The same way one life throbs in all of us. So the knowledge that can recognize the play of this one principle of consciousness in and through all different equipments is fully sattvic. Fully sattvic. And what kind of is Gyan is Rajasic? The little lower than that. Prithak taven tu yat jnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhana veti sarveshu bhuteshu tat jnanam vidhi rajasam. Prithak taven, as different from one another. Tu means what, yat means which. Jnanam, knowledge, nana bhavan, various entities. Prithak vidhan, of distinct kinds. Veti means knows, sarveshu, all, bhuteshu, in beings. Tat is that, jnanam, knowledge, vidhi, no, rajasam, rajasic, so in terms of passion. But that knowledge which sees in all beings various entities of distinct kinds, and as different from one another, know that knowledge as Rajasic. So in other words, when knowledge unites us, it's a sattvic. When knowledge divides us, it is Rajasic. In other words, when we don't see the world in connection with God, is Rajasic. When we see the distinctions in the race, in the gender, in the creed, in the sect, in the nationality, that's all Rajasic. Keep on dividing. So the knowledge that recognizes polarity by reason of separateness is Rajasic. And another thing is, whenever we see difference, me versus somebody else, there will be restlessness in that kind of energy. Because we are considering various entities as different from one another. One superior, one inferior. That is Rajasic knowledge. In fact, we see the different classes also. We see animals, vegetables, humans. The Satvikta even takes us to the level where we see that godly essence everywhere, not just only in humans. That is Satvik, but Rajasic even divides among the humans. So the very core of Hindu culture is the recognition of the oneness of the entire living world of creatures. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. That is the foundation of Sanatana Dharma. So it is the concept of polarity that gives rise to all the passions and desires. Now let's see what is the nature of knowledge of the Tamasic. The lowest kind. Yat tu krit sanvat ekasmin karye saktam ahetukam atvat atatvam arthvat alpam chatat tamsam udahritam. Yat means that which, tu means but, krit sanvat, as if it was the whole, like a complete. Ekasmin, one single, karye, effect, saktam, attached, ahetukam, without reason, tattva, arthvat, without foundation in truth. See, tattva is the truth over here, tattva means no truth. Alpam, narrow, cha means and, tat means that, tamsam, tamasic, udaharitam is declared. But that knowledge, which clings to one single effect, as if it were the whole, complete, without reason, without foundation in truth, and narrow, that is declared to be tamasic. So an intellect that has got fumed under the dulling effects of extreme tamas clings to one single effect, as though it were the whole, never inquiring into the cause. So this is a painting of a dull intellect. And that's why Lord Krishna says, this is the lowest type. And sometimes you see people bragging with this kind of a knowledge. That's why that famous saying in India, Thotha chana paje khana. They just want to advertise more. They are generally fanatic in their faith, in their devotion, in their views and values in life. They never inquire into and try to discover the cause of things and happenings. That's why Lord Krishna said, had to come unreasonable. They say our way is the only way. That is tamasic. Looking through such a confused intellect, loaded with fixed ideas, very arrogant, very stubborn. They are dull not only to fail to see things as they are, but invariably they project their own ideas upon the world. And very loudly they will judge everybody else wrong. In fact, men of tamasic intellect view the world as if it's meant for them only, for their pleasure alone. They totally ignore the divine presence. That's what Tattva Arthavat means. They don't want to recognize the infinite consciousness. So that's why the knowledge of the Tamasic is circumscribed by its own concept of self-importance. Their vision becomes alpa, narrow. That means very limited. So when the intellect is dulled under the effect of tamas, it clings to a fragmented concept as if it were the complete truth. Their understanding is not rational, not grounded in the scriptures or in reality, but they would love to impose their beliefs on others. So to summarize these three verses, knowledge of the Sattvic perceives the oneness underlying the universe. That is Sattvic. The comprehension of the Rajasic recognizes the polarity of the world. We are all different according to Rajasic. And the understanding of the Tamasic indicates a highly crystallized, self-centered ego in a person. And the view of the world is always perverted and even false. In this world outside, we can recognize a lot of restlessness, a lot of sorrow in those who possess Tamasic intellect. The destiny of the Rajasic type is much better, even though to the extent it recognizes the multiplicity. So there are despairs and agitations. But the beauty of the Sattvic intelligence is the highest kind, and people who possess this kind of an intellect, they live a life of extreme peace and harmony, joy and bliss. So from here we should understand, get the knowledge, cultivate the knowledge, Sattvic kind. Because we all want bliss, we all are after joy and happiness, but only Sattvic knowledge. Now in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about action quite a bit. He keeps on encouraging Arjuna to do his duty, because we are here to do the karma. It's a karam yoni. So now in the next three verses, he talks about what is a Sattvic action, what is a Rajasic action, and what is a Tamasic action. Let's look at. It's beautifully defined by Lord Krishna in verse number 23. Sattvic action. Niyatam sangrahitam arag dveshata kritam afal prep sunakaram yat tat sattvikam uchyate. Niyatam. Niyat means ordained. Sangrahitam, free from attachment. Arag dveshata, without love or hatred, or without attachment or aversion. Kritam, done. Afal prep suna, by one not desirous of the fruit. Fruit will come, but not in your mind. Afal prep suna. Karam means action, yat means which, tat means that, Sattvikam pure, uchyate is declared. An action which is ordained, which is free from attachment, which is done without love or hatred, by one who is not desirous of the fruit. That action is declared to be Sattvic, pure. So sattvic action is the best because it will produce peace within and harmony without. It is the purest of the three types of actions. So very first thing he says, it's a niyatam, it's a obligatory. An action that is undertaken for its own sake, because I'm supposed to do it. It's my duty to do it. With that kind of an attitude, no matter which action you are doing, it becomes a worship. It's my duty. That's how we keep on cleaning our personality. And we do our duties with a spirit of inspiration. So inspired activities naturally surpass the very excellence of the actor or the doer. Such an activity is always undertaken without any attachment, sang rahitam. No attachment to the action itself. That moment you're supposed to do it and move on. And without any anxiety for gaining any definite end. Because it has to be a dedicated activity of love. It is not propelled by either love or hatred. Often we just keep on saying, oh, I love to do this, I don't like to do that. But Lord Krishna is taking our mind towards our duty. Do the duty, what you are supposed to do. Because that was the problem for Arjuna, where he was standing. His duty was to wage the war, but he said, no, I don't like to do this. Even though he was known to be the greatest of the warrior. So we got to bring it to our level. The actions which we do, why are we doing it? Got to look at it. Motive behind our action, is it I love to do it? Or I must do it? Because it's my duty. The missionary work undertaken by all prophets, all saints are examples like this. Sattvic action. Day and night, I'm sure they sat, they meditated, then they wrote the books. I witnessed that. My own Guru Devji, all the poetry he wrote, simplifying all the scriptures. Day and night, I traveled with him in the trains, in the cars, in the planes. Early morning over here, when he came to America also, kept writing. Constantly writing. He would wake up middle of the night and start writing. Because the idea will come and he had to write. It's not that there was no love or hate for that. It was as a guru, he thought that this is my duty to do it. In the past also all the saints, how could Rishi Vyas write so much? We have great examples in our life. In today also, in the past also, of a sattvic action. We can recognize the same kind of a work which we unconsciously perform on some rare occasions. We feel peace, we feel bliss, we feel happiness when we do that. To an individual, the whole body is himself or herself. All parts are equally important. The same way we got to look at this whole world. It's God's body, God everywhere. Whatever action we do, make sure we do it with this kind of understanding. So sattvic intellect, we recognize the all-pervading one lives in the consciousness of the one reality, which is permeating the whole world, whole universe. To him, to God, the leper, the prince, the sick, the healthy, the rich, the poor are just different parts of his own spiritual personality. Just like for us, the head and the toes, the left arm and the right arm, the eyes, the ears, the nose, they function differently, they look differently, but we know that they are part of the whole. So when we move our intellect to that level, we see oneness, our actions become sattvic too. So sattvic karma is a humane action, performing without any attachment, not motivated either by likes or dislikes, and undertaken without any desire to enjoy the results. This is how I read this verse. Action itself is the fulfillment. Okay? Because we look at the fruits as the fulfillment, but the sattvic actor doing the sattvic action with the help of the sattvic intellect, action itself is the fulfillment. Doing the duty is the fulfillment. So such a person of sattvic action alone is a yogi. Rajasic action. Yat tu kam upesunah karam sa ahankaren vapuna kriyete bahulayasam tat rajasam udahritam. Yat means which, tu means but, kam upesuna. By one longing for desires. Karam is the action. Sa ahankarin, with egoism. Va means or, puna means again. Kriyate is performed. Bahulayasam, with much effort. That means that Rajasam Rajasic Udahritam is declared. But that action which is done by one, longing for desires or gain, done with egoism or with much effort, is declared to be Rajasic. Let me just go through number 25 also, and we'll next week when we meet, we will go into the detail of the Rajasic action. But let's look at Tamasic action also, the definition according to Lord Krishna. Then we'll stop the class over here and Urmilji will recite from her book. Anubandham kshayam hinsam anvekshe ch porusham mohat arambhyate karma yat tat tamsam uchyate. That action which is undertaken from delusion, without regard for the consequence, loss, injury, and ability, is declared to be tamasic. Tamasic. Okay, so I want you to reflect upon these. We did talk about the sattvic action in detail, but Rajasic and Tamasic, definitely we need to know. That way we know which action to stay away from. Because only the sattvic karma will propel us upward. So we'll stop it here. Oh, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.